Not sound good for Celtic. That was dreadful at times, wasn't it?
I think that was one of the most gutless displays I think I've ever seen from a Celtic team, with what was at stake tonight. And I know a lot of Celtic fans are saying, well, Europe doesn't matter this year. I'm sorry, it absolutely does. You play for Celtic, you want to compete in Europe. Celtic, quite frankly, tonight did not compete in any way, shape or form. It's a dressing room this season, I think, where you have to question a lot of the players, a lot of the character of the players. We see Lee Griffiths come on the pitch, gets his goal. But I look at his attitude. I look at his attitude all season. A fit Lee Griffiths is a brilliant option for Neil Lennon. He can't be bothered to get himself fit. He sort of sums the Celtic dressing room up at this moment in time. I thought they chucked it tonight. I thought they were patchy in the first half. They had a little spell in the second half where it was okay. But they bottled it in the end.
This is the same team that you praised at the weekend, the same team that you praised for their performance in
probably
Lille.
went slightly early with that.
What's the knock-on effect?
The knock-on effect, I think Neil Lennon will find himself under pressure. You can't get humiliated like this at home from a team which, with the greatest respect, a good team, but a team that Celtic fans and I think the board, I think the manager, I think the players would expect to beat. But that just, quite frankly, isn't good enough. There's a way to lose a game. Teams feel they can get at Celtic. And this Sparta Prague team absolutely battered them. But, they were pathetic. Pathetic. I haven't seen a display like that in a long time. It was bad enough against Rangers. But this was a step down, if it's at all possible.
That feels like the most damning thing, doesn't it, that you're suggesting again, that they lack fight spirit in that team. And if that's the case, going on from here is a major concern.
Yeah, well, let's look at the season as a whole. And I've seen interviews with players saying, well, we've taken undeserved criticism. Well, go out and prove it on the pitch. In Lille, they did it. They played well at the weekend against Aberdeen, but it's been few and far between. They let themselves down badly tonight. They know that. That is totally unacceptable, that performance tonight. And Neil Lennon will know it. But ultimately, he carries the can.
Yep, and I feel like there's a lot more to be said tonight.
Sum up your emotions after that result.
Devastated. Really, really difficult to put any words. Just how bad it was. We think we learned the lesson. We go to Lille and get a good result, and then we've all to play for in the group, and we cannot perform like that at this level, or else you'll get done. Second half we started a little bit better. We got the goal. We think we're back in the game, but then we have to join the performance up. We're so disjointed, it's unbelievable. We've got half the team trying to score and we're leaving 2 for 2 at the back, so you can't do that at this level. You get picked off just like they showed. They had good quality in the counter-attack, and like I said, we have to put the two performances together.
Where did that performance come from? I mean, I can hear yourself here, you're surprised by it. What do you think was behind that?
Again, I'm not sure. It's just so disappointing. Like you said, such a big surprise. And first half we absolutely killed ourselves. We started really, really poorly. You go 2 goals down, and then in that sense you have to chase the game in the second half, which you then open up and you're susceptible to counter attack. But even then, you still have to do better than that. You can't lose 4-1 at home. It's embarrassing.
Where does this result rank in your Celtic career?
One of the really tough ones, especially when you're coming into the game and there's all to play for in the group, and you just perform so badly that we really have to do a lot of work to try and get back in this group now. We'll look at trying to win the home games, and we've lost 2 out of 3. We've basically got 1 to win. So a big shock, but we have to dust ourselves down and go again on Sunday.
We're used to seeing this Celtic team so assured. Is there self-doubt? Is there a lack of belief amongst the players at the moment?
I don't think so. I just think we're not performing consistently enough. There's bits in games where we look really good, look really dangerous, and last week the same in Lille, really good. But yeah, we just can't find it at a sort of consistent level just now, and that's a really disappointing bit.
And you've touched on it, but where does it leave your Europa League prospects with 3 games left to play in this group?
We're basically, we have to win all 3 games to qualify. So we know it's really going to be tough. But once the disappointment settles down, then we have to come out in the next 3 games and try and win them to have any chance.
We appreciate you talking to us. Thanks, Cal.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks.
Well, we know where it leaves Celtic. It leaves Celtic at the bottom of Group H. And on just 1 point, the other game tonight ended AC Milan 0, Lille 3. So Lille on 7 points, Milan on 6, Sparta Prague now on 3. I think we should say fair play to Callum McGregor for coming out and speaking to us, first of all. But he was shell-shocked, and I think many people around here are, Chris.
Yep, I think he summed it up pretty well. But I said before that's probably the most gutless performance I've seen from a Celtic team, and I think he accepts that. But that just isn't good enough. And this is a type of result which is going to cause Neil Lennon a real problem, and I don't say that lightly.
Defensive question marks again tonight as well.
Easy to play against.
1-0. Yep.
I think sides have earmarked Celtic, looked at them from set pieces, and think we can cause them a problem. And
but the first goal was coming, Chris. There were warning shots tonight.
Really sloppy in possession. I think there was a free kick from Duffy he gave away. Beaton gave the ball away. A couple of opportunities. They get a corner. Sparta Prague do, and I think, do you know what? Celtic had that coming.
Yeah, Bain had already made a couple of decent saves. Then it was 2-0, and this felt so easy again. Space in the box.
2-0, Celtic have a mountain to climb, but they didn't offer enough going forward in the first half. And I don't say this lightly. I think they lacked desire in the first half. We talked about everything being in front of the Sparta Prague back five as it was, and I think Elyounoussi hit the bar. That was the first time he'd gone in behind, and that's a problem all night for Celtic.
I think you felt Neil Lennon would have some tough talking to do at half-time. There wasn't an immediate reaction because Bain gave the ball away, and it could have been 3 at that point. But then at least Griffiths comes on to get something back and shows strikers.
There's a front foot player in the box, anticipates so well, and.
So you don't think he's capable of starting for Celtic right now?
Come on, well let's be serious.
I'm asking you the question.
Well, are you serious? Look at the shape of him.
Didn't he start against AC Milan?
Hang on a minute. He's a professional footballer, Daryl. He's not picked for a reason. You shouldn't be paid to come off the bench for a little cameo for half an hour. He's a brilliant player. I rate him highly. But he needs to get himself fit, and he's let his manager and his teammates down with his attitude. Simple as that.
So he'll continue to be a sub for the foreseeable from your point of view?
Well, can you see him starting? The shape he's in.
Well, he has started.
That surprised me.
He scored goals. Another strikers haven't for Celtic.
I'm telling
Edouard's not looked like his old self,
I'm telling you, he's a brilliant striker, but attitude's an important thing. Being fit is an important thing.
You don't think he's fit enough to start a match, Chris? 60 minutes?
Daryl.
Help get his team ahead?
Do you think he looks fit enough?
Well, he's been questioned by many, hasn't he? What about Edouard's performance then?
Well, he's I don't think it's been at his best all season. We know that he's had COVID. Is not the player he was. He showed some nice touches at the weekend. Didn't happen for him tonight, and he was a disappointment. But I'm not gonna stand here and compare Odsonne Edouard and Lee Griffiths because
nor am I. But I'm asking you about the options going forward now on the basis of what you're seeing from the players that are being picked and that are coming off the bench. Because there's another big game ahead.
Well, what options are you talking about then? Go on.
Klimala, Ayeti.
Well, are they going to play in front of Odsonne Edouard? Come on.
I'm asking you the question. I'm not saying they will. I'm talking about the range of striking
Odsonne Edouard's come back.
They can play 2 strikers and have done many times last season.
Yeah, there wasn't about formations tonight why Celtic lost. There's criticism that they played a back 3 this season. It hasn't worked. They went to a back 4 in the second half against Milan. It did work. They were good at the weekend. I think the biggest issue tonight was attitude.
Should we look at the hat-trick goal for Ulish as well? It got worse for Celtic.
And at that point, it's absolutely game over.
Is it confidence with him, Chris? Because you saw him a lot down south, and he at times was a leader, was so good on the pitch.
And I do believe that he, he's a decent centre half, but he hasn't shown it in a Celtic jersey in any way, shape or form. I do think it is confidence. I think he's indecisive. We saw it again there. I mean,
he should be a game changer for this team.
The worst thing which should happen there is he should bring him down, the player, in that situation, and he wasn't even good enough to do that tonight.
Poor decision making as well.
Well, it was, but it's not just him. You saw Callum McGregor's recovery on that's not good enough. You have to bust a gut to get back, sprint, and he didn't do that. So he goes past Duffy, and then it was a good ball in, but Callum McGregor should have been back.
And then Krejci scored, and 4-1. I mean, 3-1 doesn't look good.
Do you know what? They deserved it. It could have been more. And at this point, you have to say, haven't seen many Celtic teams throw the towel in. They threw the towel in tonight.
Obviously, it leaves the Europa League campaign in tatters. Never mind the questions going forward in domestic football.
Yes, I mean, they need a miracle to qualify now. A miracle. And can you see it? Do you trust them? Neil Lennon's got a bigger problem worrying about the game on Sunday at this moment in time at Motherwell, and how he's going to rouse the troops.
You said pressure he would be under.
Well, I'm talking about pressure because you cannot have a performance like this. We're not talking about Champions League football here. We're talking about competing at Europa League level. That was Ronnie Dyler's problem. Now we talk about the job which he did, and I gave him a lot of criticism. The final straw for Ronnie Dyler was the Europa League and the pathetic performance in the group. Remember, they went back to back against Mulder, lost both games. Yeah. And Neil Lennon will know that this is a huge problem for him. But I'll go back to what I question is the player's commitment. There's a player this evening sitting in the stands on his mobile phone who'd got the hook. That is totally unacceptable.
Elyounoussi had been brought off tonight. He'd obviously gone in. I don't know if he'd showered or not. No, I'm not. I'm just explaining the situation for people at home, Chris. This is after he came off, and this was spotted in the coverage.
That's scandalous. I mean, is he committed to the cause? Is he committed to the club? Totally unacceptable.
For you, that suggests he's not.
Well, what do you suggest?
Well, if you're the manager in there and you've seen that, what would you be saying to him?
I'd fine him 2 weeks' wages for that.
Okay. We might hear more on that in a few minutes. Do stay with us. We're going to take another quick break. When we return, hopefully, we'll hear from Neil Lennon. One win in 6 for Celtic. 3 consecutive home defeats. Welcome back. Behind me, I can just see that Neil Lennon has emerged from the dressing room, so let's hear from him now with Emma Dodds. Absolutely fuming there and not happy at all when he heard that about Elyounoussi.
Well, are you surprised?
Not surprised, no.
No, look,
but there will be action taken quite clearly.
I've sat in a dressing room for 4 or 5 years with Neil Lennon. I know what his attitude is. I knew what he'd feel about that. That is, you're in it together. People talk about a team ethic. Is that a team ethic? That's a selfish, self-centred, egotistical individual who doesn't seem to care about the rest of his teammates. Totally unacceptable.
Also in that interview, Chris, he said this is on the players tonight. He said maybe they need a culture change. He said he can't defend that. He said there was a lack of hunger.
Has to take responsibility himself, because ultimately I agree with everything he said. Who carries the can? And this is Neil Lennon's team. And there's no doubt he's feeling let down by the players and they need to have a good look at themselves. But he also has to look at himself and evaluate, and I'm not saying he needs to think about his future, but Sunday is so big for him. There's acceptable at Celtic and there is unacceptable. Tonight was totally unacceptable. You can't get away from that.
They must win on Sunday now. We said must win tonight. That is definitely the case now.
It's just, the Europa League is a huge problem. I said earlier that it's okay for Celtic fans to say it's all about domestic football. That's not what the board will be thinking here. That's not what Peter Law will be thinking here, and that's not what the sensible Celtic fan will be thinking. Celtic fans want to see their team compete in Europe, and there's this notion because of finance they cannot compete at Champions League level. Well, if this is the level, the Europa League, then you have to compete in some way, shape or form, and they didn't do that tonight against a decent team.
But he said he defended these players in the past, Chris. But tonight he has really blamed them. Was it the right thing to do? Has he got it right himself? Did he pick the right team tonight? System's been mentioned so many times. He's gone 4-3, back to 3 tonight. But it's not about the system at the moment, is it?
Absolutely not. It's about attitude. And ultimately, it's about the manager. And he has to look at himself. Is he getting the most out of these players? Absolutely not. Has he got the most out of these players this season? Absolutely not. We spoke about earlier in the season, performances weren't good. It looked like they'd turned a corner. But that is a major setback this evening for him, for Neil Lennon. He's under massive pressure now.